Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradari. 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 Jaya Yashodanandana, Jaya Rajajana Ranjana, 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 Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Let's come on. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I'll speak in English. Get us? Yep, goes. Okay. So today we are reading from chapter 4, entitled Transcendental Knowledge, verse 22. Yes, we have it there. Very beautiful. Okay. Two monkeys joined us, but ganz ruhig, okay, Kinder? Okay. So we go through the words. Yadricha, Labha, Santushtaha, Dvandva, Atitaha, Vimatsaraha, Samaha, Siddhau, Asiddhau, Cha, Kritva, Api, Na, Nipadyate. Okay, now line by line. Yadrichalapa santushto, Yadrichalapa santushto, Yadrichalapa santushto, Dvanvatito vimatsaraha, Dvanvatito vimatsaraha, Dvanvatito vimatsaraha, Samsasidava sidocha, Samhasidava sidocha, Samhasidava sidocha, Kritvapina nipajate, Kritvapina nipajate, Kritvapina nipajate. Prabhus, please. Yatrichalapa santushto, Tito vimatsaraha, Yadrichalapa santushto, Krita vipana nipadyate. Mataji? Yadrichalapa santushto, Dvandvatito vimatsaraha, Samasidava sidocha, Kritvapina nipadyate. Thank you, Heidi. Is this Stephanie? Yes. Oh, nice. Welcome. I'm Gopi Gita. Nice. So we made a lucky guess. You feel free to sit there, but you can also come closer. Sometimes the ladies are a little shy, or wherever you. It's not that you must sit so far. Okay. Thank you. So now, word with translation. Yadricha. Out of its own accord. Labha. With gain. Santushtaha. Satisfied. Dvandva. Duality. Atitaha. Surpassed. Vimatsaraha. Free from envy. Samaha. Steady. Siddhau. In success. Asiddhau. Failure. Cha. Also. Kritva. Doing. Api. Although. Na. Never. Nipadyate. Becomes affected. So, translation. He who is satisfied with gain, I thought there was an echo. He who is satisfied with gain, which comes of his own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A Krishna-conscious person does not make much endeavor even to maintain his own body. He is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord. He neither begs nor borrows, but he labors honestly as far as is in his power, and is satisfied with whatever is obtained by his own honest labor. He is therefore independent in his livelihood. He does not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service in Krishna consciousness. However, for the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. The duality of the material world is felt in terms of heat and cold, or misery and happiness. A Krishna-conscious person is above duality because he does not hesitate to act in any way for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, he is steady both in success and in failure. These signs are visible when one is fully in transcendental knowledge. The verse once more. He who is satisfied with gain, which comes of his own accord, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled although performing actions. Om Kriyante Marandastya Kyadanya Salakaya Shikshun Militamyane Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tatatishva Padantikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasvati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So thank you very much. There are more of you who came today than I expected, so thank you. This is a nice part of the Bhagavad Gita, this wonderful chapter which is called or entitled Transcendental Knowledge. So there is a lot to be said about this being free from duality. So this duality which we face in our daily life. I was a little stumbled upon this verse because the purport says a Krishna conscious person. So it's definitely, Krishna may be a part in your life, but if not, take it as a God conscious person. Yeah, this relevant. So a God conscious person does not make much endeavor even to maintain his body. It's like, okay, how true is this in my life? And I still have to do quite something to maintain the body. He is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own accord. Okay, so that basically means we're just happy with whatever we're given, whatever it might be, you know? So if somebody puts, for us ladies, a huge pile of like sabji, wonderful, or a tiny bit of, well, it's fine. Everything is fine. He neither begs nor borrows, but he labors honestly. Okay, most of us try to work honestly, right? And it says he is therefore independent in his livelihood. The next part is an interesting sentence. He does not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service in Krishna consciousness. And I was thinking, well, normally, I do my service and you do your service. What's the problem, right? But there could be times, I guess, in our spiritual life as well, or in our paths, where there's a clash. Could be a clash of opinion, could be a clash of personalities, could be something which is not quite fitting. But it shouldn't be that if some problems are faced, that we're also like, okay, I give up now. It's easier. It's like, okay, then you do it. Anyway, you're meant to be better than me. Okay, you just get on with it. If there is a service that we aim to do to please Krishna, so to be in God consciousness, we should make our best endeavor to do that. This is the words they have. Do not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service. And then, however, for the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. So duality, it says here, meaning heat or cold. Some of us feeling quite cold these days, huh? And misery and happiness. Flows sort of steady. When I first came here, like to live, around 13 years ago, I thought for me this meant to be steady-minded. I should follow everything and in one sense almost not think or feel. Yeah, because then one is steady. How are you? I'm fine. Tomorrow, how are you? I'm fine. Everything is good. Well, I'm doing what I've been told to do. Okay, fine, oh? We're good, what is that? Something missing a little bit, oh? The classic case of, Hare Krishna, what can I do to serve you? And you're like, everything okay? Are you feeling it? Yes, that's what I was told to say. That's what we're told to say. And there is one common sort of belief, fake it till you make it, right? Fake, you're not really feeling it, And Stephanie, maybe you've been to other temples, but you come and you see people and then they're praying, but suddenly they're lying on the floor maybe, or, do I have my head covered? Or maybe should I also cover my head? Should I also do what they're doing? What's happening? And they're reading something, talking about something to do with this Krishna. Who is he? It's an interesting sort of story of what's going on inside of us. There's a popular Prabhupada quote, in order to be Krishna conscious, we must first be conscious. So in this element, there is an understanding. It's not just suddenly, okay, now, Emmanuel, believe in God, okay? Finish. Bus? Over. Yeah? Class over, yeah? You can go now, right? It's not that simple. It's not that simple. There's some part of us which will maybe at some moment a little convinced about spiritual life. There must be something that attracts our Stephanie also here for the first time, like something, maybe it's in the air, something more. Some of us also, we tried this chanting, was okay. We had the kirtan, took this prasadam. Prasadam was nice, It was nice. Prabhupada says, you just have to give everyone a little bit of halava. I listened to a class, actually on this verse, just a little halava. We haven't given Stephanie any halava yet, but tomorrow we get to. So just this, and it's okay. There's this idea that to have blessed food, sanctified food, also changes our inner consciousness, right? So what's then happening in this? Are we then not disturbed by the duality of the world? Philip, is everything good now? You've taken up spiritual life? No, yeah, this wonderful expression, this sort of closing of the eyes. Oh, and for me, that mistake of trying to block out emotions and other things was a useful experiment, but not really true to my authentic identity. Yeah, so meaning that at one moment we have to somewhat be ourselves. I asked the temple president back then, how do you stay so long? Everyone says it's hard. Oh, have you heard this? Oh, it's hard to stay in the temple. How long do you stay? It's like, he looked at me and he said, I never heard this answer again or before, and he said, you just have to keep your personality. And I was like, all right, personality. I was already in robot mode, so this was a little troublesome. But it meant that there's some parts that we are. For example, I have a Mataji body, So sometimes us ladies, we like to sit together and just talk about something or other. We've already spoken about it 2 or 3 or 4 times, but the 5th time is okay. Oh, generally it's okay. If I spoke to my husband, he'd be like, you already told me this. And I'm like, yes, and? He's like, but... Okay, sorry, let's go find Narayani, So it's a different way of being. There's sort of, I asked a Prabhu, so how do you express yourself? I said, okay, well, sometimes I just pick up the mridanga and sing some kirtan. Like, and? No, that's what I do. Okay, good. We always have to find our way of our expression within our spiritual lives. And this duality will be there because we're not that level of pure devotees, that we would like to be maybe after the first few minutes, right? We're just on this, we're on a process. I think Prabhupada called it like we're in the shower. So if we're in the shower, why would we complain about being dirty? It's just a part of the process that we haven't got there. But if you track yourself of how your life was 2 years ago, you may notice that actually it was much more up and down. Yeah? So these dualities often do seem to sort of not be so high and low. There is some steadiness. Unless you decided not to sleep much at all. That also is a problem of devotees. So we don't take enough rest. And then the emotions go up, and we're affected by so much more. So in this idea of the duality of the material world, the disturbance will be there. This lecture that I listened to this morning that Prabhupada speaks on this verse, it is, he says we cannot expect more from this world. This is our endeavor, right? We would like to go back to Goloka Vrindavan, or a place where there isn't a duality. But sometimes we say in English, you just have to face the facts. This is where we are. But he said very easily, if you, whatever you do, if you have what did he use? He has a certain way of terming this. Your job related to an occupational duty, do your occupational duty and offer it to Krishna. Do your eat prasadam and offer it to Krishna. Do your service, offer it to Krishna. It's this constant process of this offering over. So in terms of offering, just to explain this, it's meaning, it's much more subtle than we would like. Murari, you're tiny bit disturbing my sweetie. Please, you can go home now with Charu if you like, or you can sit very still. Possible. My youngest monkey. Very nice that you're here, Murari. Very nice. Yes, if you have children, you offer them to Krishna too. I don't mean here, but it's a very important service as a mother. It's a very important a service as a mother to also see the upbringing of a child for Krishna. Yes, okay. Nice. They chose option 2, going home. Nice. They're very sweet. They wanted to support. They know that Mama's giving a lecture to support, but the sort of attention rate sort of goes out. One sometimes compares it to when we're chanting japa. What? Sometimes we're there, okay, I'm concentrated, I'm right, okay, I'm there with Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna. And one moment, one doesn't know what happened in this meditation, but it's flown over. Shopping, food, I don't know. I was like, okay, thank you. You look and you're like, huh? But one wonderful thing is I'm happy that you're smiling. Don't like be like, oh, well, I just try to bring it back again. Just try to bring it back. If you question yourself too much at the moment, why am I thinking of this? What am I? It doesn't really help because your mind still goes into another circle. The idea of meditation is that wherever the flickering mind wanders, bring it back to this one place of the mantra that we're chanting. The same one can often see children or anything that's around us as an example. The people that we are with is not by accident. There's some transcendental arrangement that we all are here at this moment in time. And if we see this not as a curse, but as Krishna's blessing, we can understand more how and why this will affect us in our lives. So sometimes we're not put in a situation with people who are completely like-minded. We may be like, whoa, my goodness, we're all following a spiritual path, but this person has a completely different life vision. How can we even speak to each other? How can it be possible? Usually, a common basis is our spiritual path in this way. And the differences that we see is often linked to avoiding fault finding. So it's not that we have to look at those. It's not actually conducive for our spiritual life to really focus on anyone's faults. If we see a fault in ourselves, we have to really be careful how we approach it. If you're just going to be self-deprecating, so meaning, oh God, it's so terrible, why am I like this? And why can't I do like this? It's not really going to help anyone. Huh? The best way is in this way to hand it over to Krishna. It's the same way if you see something in someone else which is really hard to tolerate, please Krishna, help me in this moment to overcome. Because in that moment when we're concentrating on those things, qualities or any instances far away from Krishna, that's where we are, far away from Krishna. Huh? So that's the point of always trying to bring ourselves back on link. Some years back, somebody made the example of how do we bring ourselves back to Krishna. And they say, okay, listen to stories of Krishna and pastimes of the Gopis. It's beautiful. But sometimes when we're having days and faced with problems, it feels like almost unnatural. Yeah, so unnatural to be, okay, now I'll hear a story. You know, you read it, but you haven't even read anything. You're just sort of staring at the page. 10 minutes later, you may as well have had the book upside down, right? That happens sometimes. Or sometimes we're just tired. And just talking realistically, then we have to use other measures. This transcendental knowledge that Krishna gave us, Prabhupada gave us so many different ways. You know, we can, please think for a moment for yourself, what helps you to get yourself back on track to your spiritual path or back on Krishna? What helps? For example, it helps people to go for arti. You know, just like, I don't know if you had okay, I'll just go and see the Lord. Let me just go and see the Lord. Sometimes it can make it worse because the mind is full, but other times, the practice I try to use is you see the Lord, but you really try to look at Him. So you take darshan, they say usually from the feet upwards, your eye works itself upwards, and you allow yourself, like in most modern day meditations, to try to come to the present moment. Oh, how is the Lord looking? Oh, there is Prahlad Maharaj on his lap. What is he wearing today? Oh, that garland. Everything that brings us right here and now. If you are playing a tune, you know, you concentrate, you know, that you've got it in rhythm, something that brings you there. Often we don't do it as much as in some temples. We dance then very openly for the Lord. There's certain steps sometimes we follow, but in those steps where it's like we're engaging, like we've heard of examples, we're engaging our vision by seeing the Lord. We smell the flower offered to the Lord. We use our body to move to dance for the Lord and our tongue and to sing for the Lord. So in this way, it's all there engaged. Often the last thing that comes in place is the mind. The mind is, you know, where is it? Everywhere. If I tell you to think of the North Pole, we're already there. What? North Pole, you think? Penguins? Like we've already gone. So the mind is so quick in shifting. It sometimes feels the key to a happy Krishna conscious life or a happy life is to bring the mind into play. Essentially, we are not just a mind. We are a soul full of joy, you know, full of love. But that mind gives quite a lot of trouble sometimes. So often I would say the mind who is affected by this duality, sort of, now it's hot, now it's too cold, jump off, you know, like, what am I doing? Tired. It's just this sort of racing through. If we can bring it more into sort of this steady flow, I guess there is a reason why this chapter, of course, is entitled Transcendental Knowledge. If we can just understand, I guess it says the very first line, he who is satisfied with gain which comes of its own accord. Yeah, just to be satisfied with what we have in here and now, then other things will naturally manifest. In this lecture I heard this morning, Prabhupada speaks that we should avoid this idea. He spoke of competition and also of envy, that these are material conditions. That, it's like, okay, so I have this, and then, but I also want that. I will also get this. Huh? And then feeling, but I will get something better than all of you, like this. And if I don't have that, then I'll be upset. And as the next, we're looking at each other. And it can also happen within spiritual circles. We can look, this devotee, they have everything wonderful, and look at me, and it's not happening. But this is something of a condition from the material world. Essentially, Prabhupada speaks about this as a quality that is derived from our envy of Krishna, essentially. And it's something when we move to spiritual life, we try to step away from. So we're stepping back into acceptance of the people around us, but especially also acceptance of ourselves. That we're completely whole as we are, and as we offer our lives more and more to Krishna, the more enlivened we naturally will become. Or to a spiritual path or something higher. This is like a life that we live. And most of us, I can say, we try to live that as a practice here. It is not just a philosophical thought. So someday we're like, okay, let's try to see what it's like today to serve Krishna. And some days we're more successful than other days. Oh, some days you're like, yes, did this. Oh, I was in this beautiful kirtan. Heidi may be on the streets. Yeah, I distributed some books and met some wonderful people who look like they'll actually read them, Jay, or something. We have some moments where we are connected. And this is a wonderful time, they say in service, to offer this then to Krishna. But other times you just have days didn't somehow quite work. Narayani wanted to clean the whole guest house. But actually so many things going away, she managed 2 rooms. You were like, but my aim was the whole guest house. And no, okay, these 2 rooms are enough. Krishna, please accept this too. Please accept that the other part didn't quite work out. All of this is part of accepting everything of who we are. This is the part, if we understand, Krishna accepts us completely as we are now. This is a momentous, not to then stay as it is, but to think, if Krishna accepts us as we are, let us also accept ourselves with that love to also propel ourselves forward. And it makes sense. Huh? You accept, for example, I was able to go from here to there, but essentially want to go there. There's Goloka Vrindavan, right? But it's okay, I just managed it here. But let me accept where I am in this position. I still see that my goal is over there. That's not a problem. But let me make the steps that I can. There are reasons why obstacles fall in our path. Usually it deepens our spiritual life if we let them deepen. For example, before I move over to some questions, for example, when I was younger, I felt I was very unfortunate that the main person who was raising me, my grandmother, became very sick. And as a 15-year-old, I'd say kid, I was somehow nursing her. And it wasn't going to get real better. And it was quite hard to literally see the human body sort of fade away until someone passes. And at 18, when she passed, I definitely had some sort of spiritual crisis. I was thinking, how could this happen if God exists? I was completely somehow felt alone. And it was an experience. Cancer is not usually a wonderful journey. It's each day feels like years sometimes, when one is there looking over. Each moment is somehow precious. And when it got very hard, because the cancer was on the throat, I prayed to the Lord to take her away. So as an 18-year-old, that's quite a deep prayer. This was like, and the Lord took her, And then I was angry at the Lord. Take her. Why you take her? But actually, it's what I asked is because I didn't understand that death is a heavy thing in this material world. Suddenly that person you could touch, feel, explain, express, love and everything, it somehow vanished from your sight in that way. There are feelings and thoughts. In that way, I was like, then if she's not there, then you're also not there, Krishna. It must be like this. It's not true. It took me almost 10 years later when I lost my father that this path turned. In this moment when my father left his body, there was a change where I felt like the Lord was present. I'd been to Vrindavan a few times in between. And for some of you who've experienced the Holy Dham, like this spiritual place, one feels then embodied in a space of spiritual grace. So it's just in every direction. You felt like this sometimes when you were... So there suddenly in London, there was passing, but the presence of God felt very strong. We chanted as he left, and something changed then in the vision. It felt like at the first lesson I felt like I failed, but to be honest, it was just gathering research notes. I hadn't come to the conclusion until the next test was like, wow, oh God, actually God exists. He came in such a way where he took my father, but it felt in a very sweet way, in a very spiritual way. He took him over. What part did it play in my life? I was 29 at that time. It made me a little more serious. It made me understand that it's not like we have all the time in the world. Believed in reincarnation, so technically we have all the time in the world because you don't make it this life, next life. But if you think about it like this, our time on each human life is quite limited. And then the question came up, what am I doing with that time? What is it that makes a difference in my life? And not so many years after my father passed, I thought, well, if life is so limited. And I was in a lecture in Soho Street Temple. And it was a lecture, you come to lecture every, most days. But sometimes some words have an impact. And the words that were the impact was, we've had so many lives. Why not give this life to Krishna? You've heard it before. Sure, you've heard it before, man? Have you heard this? Philip, yeah? But I thought about it. What does it mean for me to give my life to Krishna? I've been told a few times I'm quite literal, and I thought, well, I suppose I could go live in a temple. I have a nice job, I have nice friends. And I would sort of have to give it all up, but why not? Why not? It's like how Heidi was thinking of becoming a police lady, but she thought, okay, let's try living in a temple, right? Let's just give it a go. It's not that the journey is easy. The first 4 or 5 months in ashram, I was like, wow, sweating like someone put me in a pan of boiling water, like what? And sometimes I woke up and I was like, oh gosh, I live in a temple. And I made myself, I was living out of my suitcase. I wouldn't put my things away because I thought this is how a brahmacharini, lives a life. I remember this, and I was like looking at, are you okay? I live in a temple. And they were like, yes, you live in Simhachalam? What's the problem? Nothing, so good. Voice went high. But there was this element, I was completely out of my depth. I didn't quite know what's happening. I just was going by this one line, why not give this life to Krishna? And it took so many years to understand, what does it mean to give a life to Krishna? Because my mind at that moment was playing havoc. My body was, a little resisting. There was a window that was somehow broken. In the autumn, it lets leaves in the winter, it lets snow inside. And I was like, Jay, this is like the life one lives. They told me it's austere. It's good, the eating's working, it's all nice. And so it's like the external comes, you're looking, okay, temple room, nice chandelier, and these are the people, this is the life. But the deepness has to reach the point of, what am I doing here? What is it? What is it every time I turn up in the temple room? What is it for me? Sometimes I've lost the point. I'm just like, okay, I know I've got to get here for Mangalati. Like, it's happened. I think one time I've seen somebody literally falling asleep, paying obeisances. So it's like, oh, it's easier for Prabhu who's Kushalang. But what's happening here? And you have to realize at some point, I'm super tired. I can't go to bed that late and then be up 4 hours, 5 hours later. I have to go to sleep, Okay, so I need to sleep. Okay, I'm human. I haven't become some other body. Yeah? I'm human, right? What does it mean? Okay, come to see the Lord. What does that mean? What does it mean to see the Lord? Okay, it's God here. Okay, God is here. Have I got that point? Is Nishingadev really here? I'm not sure. Is he there? Is he there? I can see him. But what does it mean to me? These are important questions, I would say, for most people. Because if you're not feeling it, there's many things to bring us in there, like literally to see the Lord, to pray to the Lord, to speak to the Lord, to be present with Him. Sachinanda Swami gave this example that outside of the daily plan and program, sometimes we need this term, actually Bhagavad Prabhu called it, being alone with Krishna. So spending that time, just somewhere peacefully alone and in your own space, doing what you need to connect yourself to God, to something higher. For some people it may be writing, some people may be singing. For me, I would probably be painting, because I'm a creative person in that way. But something that will connect us. Sachinanda Swami said he would be chanting, for example, but something that makes us feel connected. Trying to think what you would do. What would you do? If I said, okay, today, Brian told me your service is to be alone with Krishna. What do you think you would do? Soll ich in Deutsch sagen? Yeah. If I was to say to you, and I just don't want to throw you, let's say it could be Rosemary or Narayani. I said, okay, now, Brian told me, your service is, you should be alone with Krishna. What would you do? If you don't know, it's an interesting question to have. What would I do to be alone? Because essentially that's what we're trying to reach, a place where we are with Krishna. And the alone with Krishna is to allow that to happen. Yeah? So there's a thought. We have 8 minutes for any questions or thoughts or anything that may come up. Oh, are you stretching or you have a question?
I have a question.
Oh, wow, a question. Ooh, okay, make it quick. Ready, microphone ready. There I thought you were resting.
Yeah, because I'm waiting for the question. You spoke about that, in one point we have to be satisfied with the service we can offer.
Mm-hmm.
But there is also there is where the stretching zone, where we have to make an endeavor, where Krishna wants to see that we have to make an endeavor. So where is the point what we have to cross over to not become spiritual lazy?
Oh yeah, no lazies and crazy spiritual. Yes. Most of the devotees I know who live in the temple make some endeavor to stretch themselves, at least physically, for service. Where sometimes we can go into lazy modus is this internal stretching. Like thinking of this term of what am I doing to really make this service to Krishna? This next step, to offer it to the Lord. What am I doing to deepen my relationship with Krishna? So sometimes, especially recently because I look over the Mataji ashram, I often say to try to read or to develop this process of thinking, what is it that is deepening. Once I heard that we have like a bhakti bank inside us. So anything that we put in our bhakti bank, it doesn't just count for this lifetime, like if you had a normal bank. It counts for other lifetimes. So one could think, what am I doing for my spiritual life? What am I doing? Because you could be doing a service, but your thoughts are completely everywhere else. But sometimes you could just have a small part of the day when you're like, okay, Krishna, where am I with you today? This is part of it. I think this stretching part comes when we internally work more. Externally, of course, for those who maybe don't live in a temple, we have to make more of an endeavor maybe to get to the temple or maybe to offer some service. But generally, those who are in this environment, after we have lazy zone, we have comfort zone, stretch zone, and then we have, I don't think it's called breaking zone, but it's breaking point. So this is where we have to be careful as devotees living in the temple, that after stretching zone, we don't go over that level. It's very difficult then to get a balance back up again. But the stretching part, I think, really comes inside. Okay, with the mind as well, I'm sorry, but also with the heart a little bit. What is it? We open ourselves over and up to the Lord. And that trying has to come from inside. So the mentality should be maybe, Krishna, please help me to serve you better today. And with service, I'm not just talking about cleaning a pot, although it's very nice. Talking in, other activities that we do. Could be reading, just let it be service to you. And did I please ask some more if I didn't quite get?
I get this point that we have to engage our mind at this. So we see often devotees, they're doing some physical activity, like let's stay with the cleaning of the pots. Mm-hmm. But inside they listening to a lecture, for some example. And at one point, one can say, okay, that's helpful because the mind is also engaged. But is it not then that the mind is engaged with something different what the hands are doing? And is it then possible to connect my, I cleaning pots for Radharani, but I don't think of Radharani while my hands cleaning the pots, but they're somehow engaged with a lecture, but it's also spiritual. But is it then, can we offer, is this then offerable also to the Lord, or do the physical activity need the eternal meditation, what goes directly along with it, to really connect it as devotional service?
Can you remind me, sorry, before you put the microphone down, what did Radhanath Swami saying about cleaning the pots?
They should smile.
Should smile for Krishna.
Huh?
They should smile for Krishna.
No, he said they are Radharani's. They're Radharani's pots. They should smile. They should glance. They should smile. So
with this meditation, if you're able to take this, then one focuses hand on it. I've seen our Kishorikon used to clean the temple room. I've never seen anyone look more happy. She would maybe put some just kirtan on, but she would be like, yes, I'm cleaning the floor for Krishna. Sorry, I don't want to embarrass. Cleaning the floor. And it's like, wow, this is like some other mood than I would do it. So the engagement was there, what am I doing and how am I doing it? It's also nice, if you're making garland, to offer it as this petal is for you, Krishna. This petal is for you, Krishna. This is for you. This is for you. This pot, as I clean, smile. Somehow this is, I would say, one of the topmost levels, because you are engaging all of yourself in one moment. I would have to say, as having been the treasurer here for quite some years, it was a little tough to always keep that modus on. Okay, I have to pay this bill, $8,000 for some rubbish. Yeah, sorry, $8,000 for something. Okay, it was difficult. Okay, there's a service. The next bill, there's a service. So in those circumstances, I needed to play Aindra, Kirtan, to keep the energy going, to keep it going. if I was more elevated, I would say maybe easier to say, okay, now I'm paying this bill for the Sankirtan's driving license fine, but they were trying to serve you, they're trying to get quickly to the destination. There was a lot of fines, yeah? They would try to get to the destination. Okay, Krishna, please accept this, and so on. I think this is a beautiful meditation, but I just have to say realistically, for myself, it's part and both. If, for example, you're cleaning the pot and you're not in a mood and you hear that your mind is almost making offenses, like, why Brian give me this service? Doesn't he know I can't manage it today? Brian, poor Brian, yeah. But it's much better to put on a lecture and to shift that mind over. We have sometimes just to live with who we are, right? This is our circumstance. But very nice to be able to do a service and really connect with it for exactly what it is. And this example of Ranaswami, of our Kishorkan cleaning, shows that it can be a very basic service, but we can still connect with it. Like, at guest house, it could be, oh wow, there's another devotee of Krishna who comes now. I'm really doing Vaishnava Seva. Very nice. Like this. In this shop, I was always like, wow, we have Sankirtan here, Prasadam distribution, we have it all here, deity worship. It's all going on here, just in the shop, because they're buying things to allow them to do deity worship. Don't look so skeptical, head pujari over there. But it's like this. But this is something that is sort of realistic and in our lives that can help us. We are about to start Gora Arati, where we can also try to engage all of our senses by the worship. Please, if there's any other questions, feel free to come to me later or after. I wish you a very beautiful journey in having this time alone with Krishna and also together with Krishna as well. Okay. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Quick action. The Lord is coming out.
Blop.